I kind of want to ask you guys, are there like certain players you're looking at that $14 million trade exception point?
Oh man, like honestly, and I'm not trying to cop out, but like I'm not certain that they're even gonna use it. Honestly, like I think it's a flexibility play, which I think is great. And like,
Mhm.
who knows if there's like a trade that pops up that you need to take on someone else's money to make it happen, and like that's how you go about it, whether it's to acquire assets. I mean, I think I think the big one, and I saw Detroit Drew mention it in the comments, is like PJ Washington. Like I think he'd be a good fit. He's making 14 million this year, but then he's an unrestricted free agent. So I don't know. I'm sort of expecting them just to like keep it in their back pocket for a while. And then like if there is a deal closer to the deadline, like maybe that's when we see them use a piece of it or all of it, just to like, even if you need to go and get another like backup guard like they did at the trade deadline with Dennis Schroeder, depending what happens throughout the season, like you can use it in that way too. Like I feel like it's almost being pigeonholed a bit into getting maybe like a forward or a backup four, which I think would be a benefit if it is, but there are other ways it could be used as well.
So I don't think I'm with you that I don't think they're going to use this this offseason, but I do think that they are going to use this trade exception. So just I pulled up a Spo track here just as an example. Not saying that this is something that they would do or I would want, but Duncan Robinson's cap hit this year, that traded player exception, and Jaden Ivey get you to about $40 million of outgoing salary. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where they can now stack some contracts and get to some
Mhm.
pretty big numbers. And I think the fact that you're looking at this roster and you've got two pretty big key players that don't have a contract extension yet, and Jaden
Yeah.
Ivey and Jalen Duren, like honestly, I think that they are kind of setting themselves up for, like you said, like maximum flexibility. But when they get to the trade deadline, to be able to look at this roster, say, okay, like, do we want to sign both of these guys? Do we want to only sign one? If we're only going to sign one, the guy that we maybe would move on from, we could package with a bunch of other stuff and maybe get a pretty good piece coming back. So like they are the most set up for the sort of, bigger name type trade that Pistons fans have been clamoring for than
Yeah.
at any point I can remember in recent memory. Cause like under Troy Weaver, they always had the space to do it. They just never really had the assets or ammo to go get it. Right now they've got the ammo, and they've got the ammo in guys like Duncan Robinson, who not only is sitting at almost $17 million this season on his cap hit, but he's a good player with an extremely team-friendly contract moving on to the future. Same thing with Karis LeVert. Tobias Harris isn't expiring. Like they've got the guys that other teams would want to pair with a younger player and maybe a pick if you really want to go crazy to pull back someone that's taking in significant salary and is maybe that all-star type guy. So like I obviously we don't know for sure that that's where this is all going, but reading the tea leaves, like it seems like that's what they've set up here. Otherwise, I don't really know what the point of this trade exception was.
Yeah, I mean, if I remember correctly, when we traded Jeremy Grant to Portland, they had a player exception from trading CJ McCollum so they could absorb his contract. So maybe it's a kind of like a fringe move like that. I do agree with you though, Wes. I think they are setting themselves up for like that quote unquote like big fish or that big splash. And that makes me really nervous because I get like PTSD to like the Blake trade, like 100%. But I love watching Blake. I'm it's no slander there. It's just
We get some weather frozen.
Yeah,
It's
I think
like
so.
it's
It's frozen
pouring,
for
but
me too, Blake.
it's pouring by me too. So yeah, I am not totally shocked, but yeah, I like what I was gonna say is I feel like yeah, it's obviously scary to make that big move, but I feel like you almost have to, like, they're not trying to go out and acquire a star. Like you already have your guy in Cade Cunningham, so like at least that is already in place, I guess. And so you just go and get someone that can be a good fit that you are comfortable committing to for a long-term contract. Because like, I don't know, you basically just like have to do it at some point. Like something is going to give, and hopefully it's the right move. But I don't know. I guess I just feel like what's the point if you don't go and make some sort of needle moving move?
Yeah, and like truthfully, they're going to kind of run out of time to do that sort of move. You know, as soon as you get Ivy and Duran onto bigger contracts, they're harder to trade, and there's a little bit less potential there. That's a bigger number. All that usual good stuff. The reason teams want good players on rookie contracts, right? That's no longer an option. And like you just keep going down the list, right? You got Cade's already getting big money. Asar's going to get an extension. We both think he's certainly earned that already. So no reason to think he's not going to get extended here in the future. Ron Holland's going to need money in a couple of years. You do have Ivy. You do have Duran. You've already extended Stu to a pretty reasonable number. Like all of these guys aren't going to be a hit. Like you could just go back through past champions, right? Like the number of teams that have done what like OKC has done here, even if, you know, they had SGA, right? They got him through trade, but everyone else they've pretty much drafted. The number of teams that have done stuff like that, very, very low. So you just realistically, all 7 of these players aren't going to be superstar hits that are pillars for the next Pistons championship. So as soon as the clock starts ticking here on these contract extensions, because like we said, you know, it's not just Ivy Duran, it's Asar, it's Ron, all these guys. You got to kind of pick and then package other ones to, like you said, get maybe a B or a star C, right, kind of guy, because this isn't the Blake thing. Like Stan Van Gundy, what he tried to do was essentially gather a bunch of very good players that he could package to get a superstar and bring him back to Detroit. The Pistons have a superstar. This is packaging some young players that you've developed but don't necessarily want to pay to get back a guy that can really support that superstar and further your playoff aspirations. So I think they're well set up to do it. And, you know, I'm with you, Blake. They kind of have to at some point here. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. And who's like better positioned to make this kind of move? Like the Brooklyn Nets, like, are they going to go and do this? Like, I feel like the Pistons could essentially be in a good situation where if a player they're interested in that is a good young player that you're willing to commit to or already has a long-term deal becomes available, like it could just be the best move for both parties involved, because we're seeing how the second apron is wreaking havoc on the top teams, and teams trade away like their draft capital every summer, every season. And the Pistons are like finally in a position where they can use their draft picks in a trade.
Yeah, we're not the Pelicans.
Thankfully not.
Yeah, thankfully not. We were, not anymore.
No, I'm still kind of just trying to process that whole trade up or to get. I don't know. It's not our problem anymore. We don't have to deal with it. We don't have to deal with getting these top prospects anymore, because we have them and they're developing. But lost my internet for a little bit.
Derek Queen looked really good, and this is still the narrative, right?
I'm rooting
young player
for him.
Came out, yeah. He was a stud in summer league as a rookie, and then the narrative is still what were the Pelicans brass thinking on that one? Stinks for the guy. I'm rooting for him too.
Yeah,
he's a fun player.
Yeah,
and he got injured already. That's just like, man, like,
oh yeah.
I feel like it's a New Orleans thing. I feel like any player that goes there, they automatically just get injuries after injuries after injuries, and I feel bad for them.
Yeah, well, Bill Simmons is already trying to relocate them elsewhere. So
again, man, I remember when Bill Simmons used to make fun of the Pistons. We're not in that threshold anymore, so we're all good.
Yeah, I know he said he didn't love our offseason, but Zach Lowe did, and I appreciate that more. So,
yeah, I mean, we're getting more national praise, which is it's hard to get like used to, but it's just like it's just a pretty good basketball team the way they're set up.
Mm-hmm.